In ancient times, Rome underwent a transformation that shaped not only its destiny but the future of governance itself. Picture a civilization rising from the ashes of monarchy, bursting forth with energy and innovation to create a republican government where power was shared among elected bodies. In this dynamic era, Romans embraced a system where citizens played a significant role in running the state, a revolutionary idea that continues to influence modern democratic principles. This script takes you on a journey through Rome's remarkable constitutional evolution up to 287 BC, exploring how the merging of military might, sacred rituals, and public administration laid the foundation for a government built on shared responsibility. Every reform, every electoral innovation, and each struggle for equality reveals a story of creativity and resilience. Here, the clash between tradition and transformative ideas is not only historically fascinating, but also remarkably relatable, inviting us to examine how power can be balanced and reformed for the greater good of society. When Rome overthrew its kings, it replaced absolute rule with a system where power was shared among elected magistrates. At the heart of this new republic were the consuls, the chief executives chosen by the people each year. These magistrates wielded a sacred authority called imperium, which allowed them to lead armies in battle, oversee judicial matters, and manage civil affairs. Alongside this military command came the auspicious right, or auspicium, to consult the gods, an act that infused every decision with divine significance. Impressively, power was never concentrated in one individual. Instead, consuls governed together, their joint authority balanced by the power to veto one another. In moments of national crisis, Rome demonstrated its flexibility by appointing a dictator. A single leader granted extraordinary powers for a limited period, thus ensuring swift, decisive action. Accompanying the dictator was the master of the horse, who served as a trusted deputy. This ingenious blend of shared leadership and occasional concentrated authority not only prevented tyranny, but also established an enduring example of balanced civilian and military governance. Standing proudly alongside the magistrates was the Venerable Senate, a council of 300 elder statesmen drawn predominantly from Rome's patrician families. Serving for life, these senators provided counsel and oversight for the entire state apparatus. Although officially advisory, the Senate's opinions carried immense weight in shaping policy, as it often ratified laws and resolutions passed by popular assemblies. Its long-standing traditions and deep repository of experience enabled the Senate to guide the Republic through both crises and periods of reform. In Rome's earliest political days, the Comitia Curiata served as the popular assembly that brought citizens together under ancient religious and communal practices. Tasked with crucial responsibilities, such as bestowing imperium upon magistrates, the assembly blended ritual with governance. Although its functions were later assumed by newer bodies, the Comitia Curiata remains a reminder of Rome's origins. It captured the spirit of a community where civic duty and sacred tradition intertwined, forging the early path toward organized governance that would eventually evolve into a more complex republic. Religion was deeply interwoven with public life in ancient Rome, and the priesthoods played a vital role in both domains. At the pinnacle was the Pontifex Maximus, the chief priest charged with overseeing state rituals and safeguarding sacred traditions. Alongside him, specialized groups such as the augurs interpreted the will of the gods through omens, offering guidance on the best path forward for military campaigns and political decisions. Although these religious offices were traditionally held by patricians, they were integral to the legitimacy of state power. Rome's early constitutional evolution unfolded along two distinct pathways. One line involved the gradual creation and refinement of new offices designed to address the needs of an expanding community. The other stemmed from relentless struggles between the patricians and the plebeians, as the latter fought for equal rights and representation. Together, these intertwined paths not only fostered innovative administrative reforms, but also laid the foundation for a more equitable society. This dual process of bureaucratic adaptation and social reform ensured that Rome's government remained both effective and responsive, influencing modern ideas of power sharing and the rule of law. As Rome expanded and evolved, so too did its methods of engaging citizens in governance. The Assembly of the Centuries emerged as the primary elective body designed to mirror the military organization of the time. In this system, citizens were divided into voting groups called centuries, with each group representing individuals based on their property ownership and corresponding military role. Wealthier citizens, placed in earlier centuries, often exercised greater influence over decisions, ensuring that those with substantial stakes in the state's well-being were heard first. Originally appointed as assistants to consuls, Quaestors eventually evolved into elected officials responsible for managing the state's finances and resources. As Rome matured, the role of Quaestors became a stepping stone for ambitious citizens, symbolizing transparency and accountability in public office. Meanwhile, the position of Aedile transformed from a chiefly religious caretaker into one with significant civic duties. Tasked with overseeing markets, maintaining public spaces, and organizing civic festivals, Aediles became indispensable for ensuring order in the bustling urban centers. As Rome's responsibilities and territorial holdings grew, so did the demand for meticulous oversight of its citizenry and resources. The censors, appointed every 5 years, became the guardians of public order through their comprehensive censuses. By recording citizens and their properties, censors laid the groundwork for fair taxation, military conscription, and social regulation. Their remit extended far beyond paperwork. Censors oversaw public contracts and even conducted moral evaluations of senators, purging the political body of unworthy members as needed. During critical moments between 436 and 362 BC, Rome found it necessary to adjust its leadership structure to cope with relentless military pressures. In response, boards of military tribunes with consular power were appointed to temporarily replace the traditional duo of consuls. Typically numbering between 3 and 6, these military tribunes were drawn from officers with significant battlefield experience. Their temporary consular authority allowed them to make rapid decisions, manage troops effectively, and adapt on the fly to the rigors of wartime conditions. By 362 BC, the introduction of the Praetor, a magistrate entrusted with civil jurisdiction, marked a new chapter in Rome's administrative evolution. Paired with the curule Aediles, who managed public order and urban affairs, this expansion of office ensured that legal and civic matters were handled with precision. To address long military campaigns that outlasted a consul's term, the system evolved further with the emergence of pro-magistrates, commanders whose authority extended beyond their official term. The structure of Rome's magistracies was defined by a clear hierarchy and an emphasis on collegiality. Offices were arranged in ascending order, from quaestors and aediles, through praetors, to consuls, each with its own sphere of responsibility and interlocking veto power. This system ensured that no single individual could dominate the government, as every magistrate's decision was subject to review by their colleagues. Additionally, in times of crisis, the temporary appointment of a dictator provided a safeguard against disunity. In the early days of the Republic, a stark inequality divided Roman society. Patricians, members of noble families, enjoyed exclusive access to political power, while plebeians, the commoners, bore the burdens of heavy taxes and economic hardship. Many plebeians struggled under crushing debt and harsh creditor laws that allowed their creditors to seize them and even force them into servitude. The shared dangers of military campaigns further deepened this divide, as plebeian soldiers risked their lives on battlefields without receiving commensurate political rights. In response to mounting discontent, plebeians carved out vital institutions to protect their rights. The creation of the tribunate marked a revolutionary turning point, as 4 tribunes, elected specifically to represent the commoners, garnered the power to veto laws and decisions that threatened plebeian interests. This office acted as a protective shield against abuses by patrician magistrates, ensuring that the most vulnerable members of society had a voice. Alongside the tribunate, the Assembly of the Tribes emerged as a more inclusive legislative body, organized by tribal districts rather than wealth. The intensifying struggle for equality drove plebeians to demand greater legal transparency and fairness. The Law of the Septh Tables, Rome's first written code, was a landmark achievement that publicly codified legal rules and protected citizens from arbitrary power. Building on that foundation, The lex canulea dismantled traditional barriers by permitting intermarriage between patricians and plebeians, thereby challenging entrenched social hierarchies. Later, the Hortensian Law further shifted the balance of power by declaring that measures passed in the assembly of the tribes would be binding on the entire state without needing subsequent senatorial approval. The persistent efforts of the plebeians soon bore fruit, as reforms gradually opened prestigious offices to members of the common people. Plebeians were eventually elected to positions such as Quaestors, Aediles, and even Consuls, breaking the monopoly once held solely by patricians. Their entry into the Senate transformed the governing body into a more representative institution, blending the wisdom of old aristocratic families with the fresh perspectives of newly enfranchised citizens. This integration not only rebalanced political power, but also enriched Rome with diverse experiences and insights. Rome's military evolution is a tale of innovation and adaptation. In its earliest days, Roman armies resembled those of the Homeric age, featuring noble warriors in chariots and the rigid, heavy phalanx formation. Yet as the challenges of warfare grew more complex, Rome shifted toward a more flexible and tactical formation, the manipular legion. Dividing its forces into small, agile units called manipules, Rome crafted an army capable of rapid maneuvers and effective responses to dynamic battlefields, transforming its martial prowess into a cornerstone of national strength. The reformed Roman military was celebrated not only for its innovative strategies, but also for its iron discipline and organization. Every soldier was a duty-bound citizen, expected to uphold a strict code of conduct, both on and off the battlefield. After every march, the army erected fortified camps with precision, an enduring practice that safeguarded the troops and exemplified Roman ingenuity in military engineering. This careful organization, combined with unwavering discipline and the banner of shared citizenship, laid the foundation for an enduring legacy of military excellence.